So, are the Mets officially the biggest threat to the Dodgers in the National League? We're going to talk all about it. We are back. It's Deferred Collusion. It's another off-season episode, but we're not going to leave you guys hanging. Before we get started, remember, for all of our followers out there, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, engage with us. It's the best way that you can help us. Share this video with your friends. You know, even if they're not Dodger fans, feel free to share. We welcome all comers into the comments. But first, I'm back with the king of the South Bay, the father of Zenaida. It's Branden Bollinger. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Jesse James Rowe. White people can't say my daughter's name. It is all right. We'll get you in there. You were at her birthday. I'm not offended. Jesse, it's exciting. Deferred Collusion off season. We're chugging through it, brother. We're getting closer. I know that some of our favorite Los Angeles Dodgers are already out in Arizona. Getting ready for their Japan series against the Cubs out in March. So we're going to have some real baseball pretty soon here, bud. I am excited. How you feeling, dude?
It was Mookie showing up with the pitchers and catchers early, getting in some reps with Shohei. You'd love to see that. Mookie Betts, man. See it. Just like like he made sure the cameras were on when he showed up. No, I'm just kidding. He was. I love seeing that because seeing Shohei out there getting his reps in as a pitcher, working on his throws, and Mookie's out there. Man. They're engaging. They're having some fun.
Building a bond, dude. Brothers. Yeah, dude. Brothers at arms.
Just win a championship and you're right back out there. That's how it's done, baby. That's how it's done.
Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet taste.
En route to the championship, the Dodgers somehow or another faced the New York Mets in the NLCS, and nobody predicted that, right? I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere, but they are they're very much in the mix now because they've brought back Pete Alonso, and there's a lot of reasons why this deal is so unique on the surface. But he's back. It's a 1+1 year deal to come back to the Mets, and I was shocked by the length of time. I guess I wasn't shocked at this point at the length of time. If you had told me this before the offseason started, I would have thought, oh, Pete Alonso, he's probably going to get a 5 or 6 year deal wherever he goes, right? 1+1, 2 years, $54 million, opt out after 1 year, $30 million makes him the highest paid first baseman in baseball next year. Were you surprised by this deal, Branden? Because I was a little. I think we knew that the Mets they probably want to sign Vladdy, but I was still surprised that that's all he got.
Jess, that was the first thing I was going to say.
Yeah.
If you're a Mets fan, I think you kind of love this deal. You keep your boy, but you have your options open for an even bigger fish, Vladdy Guerrero Jr., taking him away potentially from an AL East rival. It's yet to be seen, but I know that there were some Blue Jays fans pretty disappointed, really thinking that they were going to get Pete this year and kind of make a play for, signing Vladdy long term, trying to surround him with some other stars, some bop. But it does feel like now with Juan Soto and, Frankie Lindor over at the Mets, that another superstar of Latin descent may be headed to the Big Apple next season, dude. So, we're talking about Pete, but he found himself in a tough situation. I was kind of out here saying maybe he's going to sign with the Angels. Artie Moreno likes to spend just bread on a bopper, but it seems like he was kind of like a man without a country, right? Like, that he wanted to stay in the pinstripes of, I was about to say the Bronx, but it's not the Bronx at all. Fucking, but where are they? Queens? The Mets are in Queens?
Yeah, they're in Queens. The blue and orange pinstripes, yeah.
The old blue and orange Queen fucking Mets. But, that's Pete's home. That's the only home he's known. Won a couple of home run derbies for him, and has solidified himself as a postseason hero now.
Arguably like one of the biggest home runs, not in like the history. I don't know. Is it like one of the biggest home runs in Mets history?
It's got to be up there. I mean, Lindor's grand slam against the Phillies in that same postseason is huge, but you don't get there without Pete. So I know ipso facto, it's got to be up above it in the pecking order.
No, it kind of sucks for Pete though, because he maybe a little bit of a self-inflicted wound here. Maybe it's like a Boris problem, and we can sort of debate that. But he was offered apparently like a year or two ago, 7 years, 158 million, which in terms of AAV isn't comparable to this, but in terms of like guaranteed money, it kind of feels like a little bit of a bag fumble here on part of the Boras camp, and it kind of feels like this played out perfectly for the Mets. Like they either hustled this and they did a masterful job of David Stearns and is it David Stearns? No, what's it? Stearns, the GM of the Mets. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of David Stern.
I'm just thinking of Steve Cohen the whole time. Sorry.
Yeah, Steve Cohen and Stearns, the GM of the Mets.
Yeah.
And they kind of played this perfectly because it was weird. There was like they were talking shit about each other in the public eye. Like Cohen was on a press conference basically saying that this was like a bad faith negotiation, and that
he didn't like the terms of the deal.
Yeah, and now they got the perfect 1+1 opt out in case. Even if Alonso opts in, they can still DH him next year and sign Vladdy. Like this perfect situation for them.
Yeah. And that's a pretty deep fucking lineup now. You know what I mean? You got
it's a really good lineup.
You get Vladdy in there with Soto and Lindor. That's about as good a 1 through 4 as you get in baseball.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough for Pete. You want to do the capitalist thing, get your free agent bread all fucking. And you just hit a dead market, right? What were we saying off camera that people are calling the first baseman the running back of the MLB? It's just not a lot of value in that position anymore.
Yeah, is it? Do you see it that way? I saw like other podcasts kind of calling it the new running back of Major League Baseball. I mean, here's the thing about first base is you have to be a high home run guy, high OPS guy, high on base guy because you're obviously you got moved to first base because you're one of the few defensive liabilities on the field. It's the easiest position to play on the field, arguably, right? And so you have to carry yourself with the bat. That's where the value is. So I think yes, but at the same time, I also think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is probably going to break the all-time first base contract next year. Mm-hmm. So there's exceptions to every rule, but I mean Freddie Freeman just won World Series MVP.
Yeah.
So I still think there's value in first base. Bryce Harper plays first base for the Philadelphia Phillies. So I don't know. I still feel a little bit like that's a misleading comparison, but it kind of feels like it's a like teams don't want to give out big contracts to that position anymore.
Yeah, it's I mean, we can really look back to Freddie Freeman as proof positive of that, right? Nobody wanted to give him a 6th year at $160 million. And now you look at it and you go, that's a fucking steal. You know what I mean? Pete turned down, what was it, a 5-year or 7-year?
No, 158.
158. I get it. You hit 53 home runs, I think, in 2019 or whatever. His rookie year. Juice ball or not, that's a fuckload of bing bongs.
Yeah.
You want to test your market. I believe that Pete is the highest OPS recorded by a Met in the last decade in that 2019 season. So, I feel like he might be a little burned by the business of baseball right here. But I think ultimately he's happy. I mean, he didn't do himself any favors by giving the Mets a your eyes only deal. I don't know if that was probably more his idea than Boras, but desperate times. A couple of these Boras contracts now look a little questionable. Obviously, it worked out for Blake Snell after doing the prove-it deal with the Giants. But I mean, the Padres could have easily signed him to an extension or, re-signed him, but they didn't. And any other team could have with, Jordan Montgomery, even though that's proven to be shaky. The Snakes owner has been a little bit of an asshole. He notably fired Boras, and it felt like, man, are we going to see that with Pete if this goes sideways? But, hey, all's well that ends well. They got a real shot to fucking dethrone. Who won the NL East last year? Was it the Phillies?
Phillies.
Yeah, they got a real shot to dethrone the Phillies this year and, be a real threat to the Dodgers. Do they have the pitching? I mean, it's yet to be seen, but I don't know. What do you feel, J-Bo?
Well, it is funny because in the past couple of years, the Boras thing has popped up, and Blake Snell, obviously, he salvaged it, right? But I mean, you have Bellinger, you have Montgomery, you have Snell last year, you have Chapman, who got breaded up, thankfully. But now you have Alonso, and you also have God, who else this year is a? And so coming off of the Soto contract where he breaks the record, all of a sudden Steve Cohen's having problems with Boras. It seems like if Boras doesn't have the clear-cut best player in the game, he's having trouble getting teams to work with him.
Yeah,
and that's a big problem. Where there's clearly like a leveraging tactic that's not working in modern day baseball, where I think front offices are just wisening up. Like, even if you look at Soto's contract, which I said was a monumental overpay, if you look at how many wins that contract actually gets you, like on the dollar, you're actually getting kind of like a small discount compared to like the Willy Adames contract, who the Giants might have like overpaid for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the weird situation that Pete finds himself in. But I still think slam dunk deal for the Mets. I think this is best case scenario for them. And to answer your question, does this make the Mets the biggest threat to the Dodgers this year in 2025? It's really hard to say, but I think that they have just as good of a chance as the Braves or the Phillies do, simply because that division is going to be so competitive. I mean, the Mets might not have the pitching edge that the Phillies have. I think that Phillies rotation is,
nasty, dude.
One of the top 5 in baseball when healthy. So I still think the Phillies have that edge because they'll be able to prevent runs in a way that the Mets can't. But really, it just comes down to, is Sean Manaea the guy that you had last year? Because he's a career 4 ERA guy. I'm not sure I believe that he's this him as like your ace or your number 2. I feel like is asking a lot of a guy with a career 4 ERA. I think he's a great number 3, awesome number 4. But like Kodai Senga, you got to find out what you have there. So it all depends on performance from those guys. If those guys are pitching well next year, I'll start to believe in it. But I don't know. I still think the Braves, Acuna is going to come back eventually. Strider is going to come back eventually. Chris Sale's coming off a Cy Young. The Phillies are awesome. They underperformed in the postseason, but they should still be really good.
And this is kind of the end of a window for the Phillies too.
It is.
I think not that anything crazy going around. You still got your cornerstones with Harper and Turner. You got Wheeler a couple more years, I think. Who else?
Old pitching staff, though.
Yeah, getting up there. I think this is Schwarber's last season. We really are starting to get to this age now where like the thing that's separating these superstars like Harper and Machado, the prized offseason pickups a couple seasons ago. Trey Turner's got a ring, but some of these other guys, your Alonsos, your Lindors, whatever, even Acuna, he didn't really get to contribute to that World Series win because of you blowing out his ACL, unfortunately. So I think there is, especially in that NL East right now, a lot of guys doing it more, I think, than just the name on the back and the jersey. It's for that legacy, Papa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mentioned Machado, and don't get it twisted. He might have like a little pissy attitude, but that guy's a competitor and he's trying to win. So, I kind of liked him calling out Padres ownership, trying to, on the lack of movement. But, I'm kind of saying all this to set up that, doesn't it just kind of feel like Michael King is going to get traded to the Mets?
That's what I was saying. Is I feel like the Mets, in terms of like moves that they could actually make, it really depends on where the Padres are at, because they either have to do it now or they're going to do it at the deadline when they are like out of the playoff picture. I think that they're in a weird predicament where they have to do it now, because if you wait, what if you're like 2 games out of the wild card? You're trading Michael King and Dylan Cease Cease when you're 2 games out of the wild. It doesn't make any sense. But the Mets feel like a team that will be super aggressive to go after it. So, because look at the landscape here. The Cubs, they're projected to win 91 games and win the NL Central. The Braves are projected to win the NL East with 92 wins. The Dodgers projected for 104, which is, insane. I still think if you're facing the Dodgers, you have to have high-end pitching because they've always struggled against teams that are the best pitching teams in the playoffs. They did struggle for a few years with the timely hitting. This past season, obviously, they really turned that around. Against the Mets, they scored 10 runs in like 3 of those games. They were blowing them out of the water in a lot of those games.
Lunch.
And I just don't see the Mets having the pitching to be able to keep up with the Dodgers, even if they have this great lineup that they have. Even if Mark Vientos steps up and has levels up and has a great year, you still have to deal with the Dodgers pitching staff when healthy is the best in baseball. So I think that Phillies, I still think the Padres are going to be like one of the biggest threats to the Dodgers, even though they've had a terrible offseason. Don't sleep on them, man. They're built to be a winning team right now. They just have to find a way to keep it together financially and make it make sense. So,
speaking of the Padres, they did make a couple of big league additions.
They did. They actually signed some people with beating hearts. So that was
nice.
Nice.
They got now career journeyman and former first round, what was it, number 1 fucking prospect in all of baseball, Jason Hayward.
Yeah.
After his little stint with the Dodgers, traded to the Astros, now signed with the Padres. I think he's going to fill that veteran role that David Peralta was serving for them last season. And Connor Joe from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Jess, I actually do kind of like this signing for the Drays. I feel like Connor Joe can replace Jurickson Profar in that kind of spark plug role, either at the top or bottom of their lineup. Yeah, he was good. But yeah,
he's also a San Diego kid, I believe, by the way.
Really? I didn't know that. That's super cool.
I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, it's interesting. I know that the was it one of the
born in San Diego.
Yeah, the San Diego owner was talking about some classless fans to the north in LA at their fan fest, and was talking about how proud of Padres fans he was that they show up for the team and they root and they're positive and they're just nothing but classy folks out there. It's funny, I saw baseball Twitter grab that and then edit a bunch of Padres fans fighting in the crowd and fucking a lady spitting on somebody and
what about that one
Bellinger
Padres fan flipping off the
that gif.
The Dodger fan? Yeah.
That kid's hilarious. Good for him for being a jerk. Yeah. But no, it's just one of those things. There's a great rivalry that's been built up now over the last 6 years or so. And it's a bummer to see the Padres kind of not supplementing their team. They've been one of the biggest spenders in baseball the last few years. And that's saying something where, half the league is spent I don't know, nothing. It feels like teams have spent nothing, dude.
Well, I mean, look, here's the thing is it's look at a team like the Giants, for example, right? You would think that they've been trying to spend money, yeah?
Yeah.
They signed Willie Adames, they signed Matt Chapman, but you look at a team are you scared of them, right? Are you scared of, because a lot of this is what teams are run well versus what teams are trying to spend to get them out of not being run well. And the Giants feel like a team that's trying to spend their way out of not being run well. And the highest OPS that they've had in the last 10 years, Brandon Crawford, 894. That's the lowest of any team's highest OPS player over the last 10 years and in Major League Baseball. It's the lowest for any team. They haven't had a 30 home run season since Barry Bonds. So you look at teams that aren't able to develop players. The Padres seemingly kind of have been able to, or they've been able to trade for the right players. They signed Machado, which is sort of a culture builder, whether you love him or hate him. It just seems like that's where a lot of this issue is coming from with a lot of teams who feel like the Dodgers are bad for baseball, is because so many of the teams that are trying to spend money are spending it poorly, but they're also poorly run. And so it all adds up where everybody looks worse than the Dodgers, and everybody thinks it's just because the Dodgers are able to spend more money. And forget about the fact that they're also run incredibly well, and they're operating within the rules and all that. And look like the Pirates, for example. the first contract they've given out. They haven't signed a multi-year contract since 2016, 2017.
2016, yeah, I believe December 2016.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on a decade, and that's not for lack of talent, right? Andrew McCutchen won an MVP there. You've drafted and developed Tyler Glass now, Garrett Cole, now Paul Skeens. Not to disrespect any of the other guys,
Brian Hayes,
O'Neal Cruz. Who's the other pitcher that's a stud for them?
Jared Jones. Then they also have they also got the outfielder. I'm forgetting the white guy. I'm forgetting his name right now.
Brian Reynolds was
Brian Reynolds. Yeah.
Yeah. They signed him to an extension, which felt like he took a discount, like a hometown discount, kind of, just for the love of the fans. I was just watching a highlight, Jess, of you remember Pirates fans chanting at Johnny Cueto, when he was on the Reds. One of the all-time crowd moments from any baseball game.
Yeah.
Cueto drops the ball. It's against Russell Martin. It's kind of a grindy at bat, and then boom!
Yeah.
Monsieur Martin launches one over the left field wall, and the place erupts. And it's like, okay, I can get behind the Pirates. Yeah, this is fucking cool. But they've done nothing to supplement that team. In just today's game, it's not enough to be able to draft and develop players well. You have to supplement that talent with superstars, and not just, I'm not saying everybody's got to have a Shohei, but look at like a J-Ram, you know what I mean? Like, you got these cornerstone guys that could anchor a franchise, and you drafted a Paul Skeens, you got a what, but you know what I mean? Frickin' Judge needed Soto. Now frickin' Alonso needed Frankie. Now they need Soto, and the list goes on.
And the Mets just spent all that money. They had the highest payroll in baseball a couple of years ago. They spent all that money, and then they ended up selling it off and looking forward to the future, because it was just mismanagement.
Yeah.
And I think that they're actually learning from that, though, which is what scares me about the Mets most, by the way, is that I think that they're starting to get run really well, and they're starting to learn from their mistakes a little bit. And I think that's where I think they'll be really, in 2 years, I think we're really going to be worried about the Mets. But
not today.
Manfred did come to our defense, by the way.
Which is wild.
Yeah. So he said that when he was asked about if the Dodgers were ruining baseball. Now, look, he obviously has some incentive to say no, because he has to protect the image of the league. Because if one team is just running wild and owning the, skirting the rules or whatever, then it looks bad for him just as much as it looks bad for the Dodgers, right? But he said, I don't agree with that. The Dodgers are a really well-run, successful organization. Everything that they do and have done is consistent with our rules. They're trying to give their fans the best possible product. However, he did make it clear that he's aware of the frustration from other fan bases. I recognize, quote, however, that my email certainly reflects it. There are fans in other markets who are concerned about their team's ability to compete, and we always have been concerned when our fans are concerned about something. But pinning it on the Dodgers, not in that camp. So, look, Rob Manfred, a broken clock is right twice a day. Whatever.
Hey!
But
don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Deferred Collusion. A wrong clock is right twice a day.
That should
Those
be
are the kind of wisdom that we just, we're very big in philosophy. Both junior college superstars, academia. Yeah, I've heard about it.
Right.
That's us.
That should be our tagline for our YouTube banner, is a broken clock is right twice a day, and it's just our faces. Yep. So, to pin that the Dodgers are ruining the league when you have teams like the Pirates, when you have teams like the Angels, for example. You sent this to me. What was it? What about the Angels?
Oh, that if it was 2019, how amazing their fucking ball club would be. Right. So if this is 2019, they just signed Tim Anderson. In 2019, he had a .335 batting average. Mike Trout had 45 home runs that year. Jorge Soler, 48 home runs in 2019. Anthony Rendon. You remember this guy?
Rendon.
Dude, I can't even remember his name. I haven't seen him on the field in fucking years, dude.
Yeah.
2019, he had a .319 average with 34 home runs. Yoan Moncada, 315 with 25 home runs. And Jess, I got all this from a tweet from our buddy Fuzzy, but this is what I find most interesting about all those numbers, is that the year of our Lord 2025, Yoan Moncada is expected to start at third base over Anthony Rendon. And his return is TBD. I mean, this is just crazy.
Yeah, no.
Are the Angels such a poorly run organization that they ruined Anthony Rendon? Or is this just Tony being Tony?
I mean, it's probably a combination of both. I mean, they can't keep the guy healthy. They can't keep Mike Trout healthy. And I know that the Dodgers have had some issues with keeping pitchers healthy, but my God. And that's just funny to me because that is the Angels in a nutshell, and kind of like that, the transition from being old school to the new school front office philosophy of like teams like the Angels feel a little old school. It's like, let's throw money at people that were once like top prospects in baseball, like Yoan Moncada. At one point, that guy was like the most highly sought after prospect in coming out of Cuba, and the Dodgers were even in on it. And I mean, he was like a huge trade chip for the Red Sox to get Chris Sale. Like he was the big trade chip, and now here he is with the Angels. It's like it's night and day who these players are, and the Angels are just sort of an encapsulation of what the league is right now. Is that there's just a bunch of owners that don't really know what they're doing and don't want to invest the money into better research, better player development, better technology, all of these things. They're just trying to, increase their profit margins, and it's affecting the product on the field, and they think that if they just, go out and sign guys that used to be good.
Yeah, man. An infamous man once said something that I'm going to quote right now. I don't agree with the guy, but it's a great quote, and I think that MLB owners should take heed to this. That are letting their franchise sour on the vine, if you will. But better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's. So I think the Angels, the Pirates, the Marlins, a couple other fucking Rockies. I can go on. John Fisher's A's. Fucking take a look in the mirror. Spend some goddamn money. Get some better ingredients together. Invest in your club. Top down, root to stem. And finally, also supplement your goddamn talent with proven stars. Help get over the hump, Look, not every year can be the year that you invest in free agents, but it's not fucking never in 30 years, Pittsburgh. It's not fucking, I don't know what you're waiting on, Miami.
This should be the time they do it. Yeah. This should be. You have two pitchers that are like rookies that are two of the best pitchers. Like Skeens and Jones are probably one of the best 1-2 punches in all of baseball. And you have them on their rookie contracts.
Right.
They're going to put butts in seats. Paul Skeens is going to sell out the stadium every night, especially if you're competitive. If you go out and just sign, like, they could have been in on Santander, they could have been in on Teoscar, they could have been in on so many different
Christian
players.
Walker, they could have fucking, dude, why couldn't they sign fucking Michael Conforto? You know what I mean? Add some pop to their lineup for $17 million. Like, what I mean? Like, there are veterans. Really done something. Dude, I mean, still, they're like Kenley Jansen is still available, a future Hall of Fame closer who's still putting up numbers is available, and teams are just like, I'm good.
That guy is like desperately trying to come back to the Dodgers.
I mean, he lives in LA. He's a fellow bass player, dude. I've always wanted to ask him how fucking learning to play bass over the last like 4 or 5 years has helped him keep that grip strength going on a ball, dude. Anyways. But yeah, my point is, Ken Rosenthal was talking about this on Foul Territory earlier this week, but he was quoted as saying that MLB owners are bleeding players dry, meaning that are either not offering contracts or when they do are offering them in these short kind of bursts. All these teams are kind of, hey, you have this long to answer or we're moving in another direction. And if guys don't like the terms, they don't take it, but then the phone doesn't ring. World Series champion Jack Flaherty just signed a short 2-year deal. Or maybe it was 3-year with an option.
I think
of
it was
third.
It was 2 years.
2 years with the Tigers. I like it. He had a great year with them. But it's just an example, it's like, hey, like, are you really that worried about this guy's back? He's 29, some of the numbers didn't look great as the season went on, but like, it's kind of proven, right? But up and down, maybe you get him for a few years, but a lower AAV or something. I mean, dude, I didn't think we'd be talking in February and Alex Bregman would still be unsigned.
I know.
I didn't see that coming.
Ippe got a 5-year deal before Alex Bregman did.
Oh,
Sorry.
God.
Sorry.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jesus. Ippe,
know.
I'm sorry, dude. Sorry, Ippe, that you're going to jail, dude. You little thiefy thief. You got busted, buddy.
Depends on where Bregman's going, because he could be going to jail too. I mean, where the fact that a team, like a contending team, hasn't signed that dude yet does that say more about Bregman, or does that say more about the league?
Well, Jess, I think I can make a case that it's not helping his situation to have Scott Boras being his agent. But, maybe that's what a little bit of that Altuve, I'll go to left field was, they're both repped by Boras, trying to help out his guy. He means more to the Astros than anybody, but their ownership was talking about, we lost Bregman at their fan fest. I think there was a rumor that they did make another offer attempt at him. But it just kind of feels like one of those things, like who's gonna blink and overpay first. Jess, it has really got me thinking though. You and I we've been little curmudgeons about his numbers. The OPS isn't stellar, right? It's not something that you think of for a cornerstone third baseman, right, for your franchise that you're going to give a big deal to. Do you think any of that 2017, 18, 19 cheating scandal, bang, bang on the drum, is tainting franchises from bidding higher on Bregman?
Yeah, well, 100%, only just because it limits the teams that he could go to. Like, I think that he's a great fit for the Yankees, but I think Yankees fans would have some trouble with signing Bregman, and Yankees ownership understands that. I think because it wasn't just the Dodgers who were victims of that. It was the Yankees, too, who faced the Astros in the 2017 ALCS, as well as faced the Astros in the 2019 ALCS. So you look at it from that perspective, and I'm sure there are Yankee fans out there, just like Dodger fans, who feel cheated, right? And so it's in the back of the Brian Cashman's mind, like, do we really want to put this into our culture? Do we want it? Do we want this? Do we feel like we can sell this to the fans, even if it makes us a better team? That's why maybe trading for Nolan Arenado might be more.
Yeah, I think after what happened to Fat Joe in the World Series, I think the Yankees are definitely like, dude, if Fat Joe can't get love from our fans, dude, there's no way Alex Bregman's gonna, dude.
That might have been self-inflicted, though, because that was, They got to fix that sound system at Yankee Stadium. Whatever happened with that? Apparently,
that sound system was so bad it was making people drop fucking fly balls out there.
Right,
dude.
I know. Oh, speaking of really quick, we're gonna. Well, where should we go with this here? Let's do this. Who do you think had a worse week? By the way, umpire Pat Hoberg or Ippe Mizuhara?
Ooh, man.
I think it's an easy answer, but
Pat got fired for gambling. My boy Ippe is going to jail for gambling. So if
well, no. Hoberg didn't get fired for gambling. He got fired because he shared. I have the tweet right here. I'm sorry. So Pat Hoberg, he shared betting accounts with a friend who bet on baseball, though there is no evidence Hoberg himself bet on games or manipulated any that he worked. But he did delete messages from his account, from his phone, that were central to MLB's investigation. So he wasn't gambling on baseball, but he was linked to an account. He shared a betting account with somebody who was placing bets on baseball.
I did see that he had umped a game again in the World Series, the Phillies and Astros. Was that 2023, right?
23, yeah. No, sorry, 2022.
2022, yeah. And he had a perfect scorecard. He made all 129 out of 129 calls correctly, had exactly a 0 in terms of leading to one team score or the other. It was just completely balanced. So, that lends to his credibility. But if one of your more dependable umpires in the sport, just, I'm saying dependable just based off of that performance, is getting caught up in gambling, it's tough to say that when you're seeing a more egregious call that there isn't maybe some intent behind it. Now, I'm not accusing any major league umpires of being, racketeers or fucking, smart enough to really swindle MLB in this regard. But it's just, if there's smoke, there's fire. We've talked about this before. You used to have to go into a casino or to a bookie to place a bet. Now it's just an alert on your phone. Hey, we got a great parlay deal for you. Like da-da-da-da. So
here's what I'll say about it. If you're Pat Hoberg, what the fuck are you doing?
What the
sharing
fuck are
an
you
account
doing?
with somebody who's betting on baseball? You have to know that it's happening if you share an account with them.
Yeah.
I mean,
why not just give cash to a buddy and let him run the account?
This isn't like the Ippe thing where like he was like Shohei was clearly having money stolen from his account, and Ippe was like pretending to be him, withdrawing money from the bank, making transfers and stuff like that. This is an actual like betting account. Like just imagine like you and I just shared a DraftKings account, right? And we're both using it like through my email or something. Like we're getting the same notifications for when a bet pays off, for when you make money, like all of those things. You're getting the notifications from it. So he would have had to have known that these bets were taking place, and the fact that he's deleting messages says everything that I need to know about this. Whether he made them or not is irrelevant. Like he should have gone to MLB immediately and said, "Hey, just want you guys to be aware of this. I was on an account where somebody I know was betting on baseball. I am like disconnecting myself from this account. I want nothing to do. I just want you to be aware." Full transparency. The fact that he didn't do that says to me he knew what was going on.
Yeah, it's like I said, if there's smoke, there's fire. You don't share an account if you're not fucking gambling on it. And if you're dumb enough to have anybody bet on baseball and you're an umpire in the sport, you get what you get what you get. You reap what you sow.
Yeah.
No one needs to look any further than fucking Pete Rose.
It's the one thing you can't do. Literally it. Yeah.
Ask the ghost of Pete Rose. May he rest in fucking peace, dude. But yeah, it's tough, man. But you're a fucking idiot. And the last thing I'll say on the Ippe thing is, dude, like, fuck, dude, I'll see you in fucking 37 months. What is it? 57 months? I'll see you in 57 months, dude. And your first bet is on me, dude. I got $5. Use the promo code. Dude, hopefully, Deferred Collusion got a promo by then. Dude.
$5 bet, you get 150 in bonus bets, baby.
There you go, dude. With DraftKings or whoever, fucking
man,
support this pod.
57 months. He asked the judge for 18. They threw the fucking book at him, man. And it's a damn shame. I'm seeing all the comments. So fell on the sword for Shohei and everything and whatever. But
let me ask you this, Jess: would you go to jail for 57 months if, upon release, you were to receive a tax-free $16 million?
What jail am I going to? Is it a
cool one? A cool one where where white collar criminals go to.
Oh, easy. Yeah, easy. I'm taking that payout, baby. Well,
turn around, dude. You're going to jail.
Here, Shohei. Yeah.
You're just kidding.
We'll be golfing in no time. Yeah, dude. Anyways, with that, I think that kind of ends the Ippe story. I guess we might find out more, but it kind of seems like that's it. It's over. He's going to jail. He's done.
Do you know if he's going to have to try and pay back any money?
What?
Is he going to have to pay like restitution at all?
He owes Shohei $16 million, dude. Like, yeah.
Fuck. That's a lot of DoorDash, dude.
Yeah, like it's yeah. Yeah.
Dude, Ippe better hope Trump fucking gets those taxes on.
I'm telling you,
dude, or he's fucked.
I'm telling you, Ippe needs to start a podcast once he's out of jail. Just do a full tell-all about all of this, and I'm sure he signed some sort of NDA, so he probably can't. But I think that podcast would do numbers, bro. I really do.
Yeah.
Let's end here. We're running low on time. You sent me this. What was this weather thing? This is kind of fun.
Yeah, I saw that the MLB over the last 2 seasons has applied a weather metric technology as part of their Statcasts. What I thought was really cool was that you can actually see the like plus or minuses of home runs per ballpark. And there was a couple that were notable to me just right at the top because when you think of Wrigley Field in Chicago, you think of wind, day games. Dude, and it's not just like a little thing. Wrigley Park from 23 to 24 has eliminated 43 home runs while giving an additional 13 home runs to players.
Right.
The inverse of that, though, dude, Kansas City minus 65 home runs while only helping with 2. And then Seattle, bro, what we've been
Well,
talking
yeah.
about. Not only is it a terrible batter's eye, Teoscar Hernandez was saying that he just kind of felt like he was always off center while he was in the box a little bit.
What was Cleveland? They had that wind tunnel thing.
Cleveland actually was negative 24, and
Wow,
it only
okay.
helped one more. But I wonder if we look at if there were stats beyond just the last season, would it be more? But this was interesting, Jess. Seattle, negative 55 home runs over the course of 2 years. It's helped with 0 home runs.
Yeah.
Another interesting one, just for our Dodger fans out there, the Wind helped give 10 home runs while eliminating 10. So a perfect neutral field, which is
That's
funny.
LA's stagnant air for you. That's why you see the smog and the skyline all the time because it's just
And that's why the Angels are in fucking Anaheim, not Los Angeles, because they had fucking +9. So they got 10 more home runs
Yeah.
because of the Wind while only losing 1.
need
Fascinating.
no more
that
proof
air
that
in
they are
Anaheim.
not in LA.
Hey, that's just what I've been saying, dude.
That's proof right there.
But I think that's fascinating, and it does make me wonder if Pat Hoberg was in on that, if he knew a little bit, if he was betting on home runs. He didn't need to fucking make bad calls. He just had to call a good tight strike zone.
Tightened up the strike zone a little bit, maybe a little bit
Make
more.
pitchers kind of tunnel it. And
Yeah,
he's like,
dude.
hey, dude, I want to put $100 on
bro.
Tatis for going yard.
You're actually not wrong about that because good gamblers take all that shit into account, bro. They take
Yeah, dude.
all that stuff into account when deciding if somebody's betting on if somebody's going to hit a homer, over under. The wind is blowing out at Wrigley. I'm going to take the over. That sort of stuff. And it's funny about Kansas City holding back all those homers because I remember in the ALDS against Garrett Cole in Game 4. Kansas City hit 2 balls to like the warning track that like would have been home runs in like 23 other parks, something like that. And it was Garrett Cole's final out of the game. I forget who the hitter was. And it would have either tied the game or given Kansas City the lead. I forget what it was.
Wow.
And Soto caught it like 1 foot in front of the wall. And it was like 26 or 25 other ballparks. It would have been a home run. And I was just like, Garrett Cole should have actually given up that home run. The Yankees shouldn't have won that series.
Dude, and then the same thing happened with the Guardians. In the Guardians series, there was a deep shot, I think in like the bottom of the 8th to left field, and the camera swings around. I think it's on even like the John Boy guys like, oh fuck, it's gone.
It was off
caught
Noel.
at the wall.
It was Noel, right? The big bopper, the righty guy.
No, because he did hit a home run.
But I thought it was him who hit that, and everybody thought that it was a homer too. Like, because that's why everybody thought it was going to be a homer because he was like so scary at the time after the home run he just hit the night before. You know what I mean?
Maybe it was. It was. But I'm just like, hey man, a couple tweaks to some stadiums, we could be bopping, dude, into a new championship year. But Jess, we did it, baby.
We did it.
We did it. This has been another episode of Deferred Collusion off-season edition. With me, as always, your host with the most, Jesse, James, The Gun, Tommy, Roe, your boy Brandon Bollinger. Don't forget to like us, subscribe, share with your friends. Hit us in the comment section. Not the busiest week, but we got some signings. We're getting closer to the start of the season. I'm excited. I know you are. Tell us anything we might have missed, anything we should keep an eye out for.
Let us know if there's anything you want us to talk about. Like if you want us to do like division breakdown, player breakdown, anything like that, let us know because we're looking for content ideas right now, guys. So
we got some stuff brewing, some fun stuff for next season too, and excited to share with you guys. But thanks for hanging with us, dude. It's always a pleasure.
Love you, Brando.
Hey, dude. Happy Valentine's Day, dude. I'm shooting love arrows at you, dude.
Oh, I thought you were doing your Alex Pereira impersonation.
Oh, shit. No. Yeah. What was the other guy, dude? The closer? Oh, fucking.
Oh, God. Fernando Rodney.
Fernando Rodney, the hat guy, dude.
Shout out, Fernando. Peace.